Even in the digital age of marketing, brochures can be excellent advertising tools. The tricky part? Setting yours apart from the rest. Hello world, my name is Mike Ploger and I'm back again with Visme. We've brought you ultimate guide videos before in the form of designing flyers and logos, and in this video we're discussing brochures. These are typically printed marketing assets meant for selling a product or service. If you're a student, you probably have a few from different colleges, and if you're a little bit older, think hotels and all the brochures in the lobby offering local attractions. They take shape in a variety of forms, and often when a consumer has one, they also have a few more so they can assess and compare the products. That's why it is so vital that you design a brochure that's guaranteed to grab the attention of your target consumer, both at first glance and when they start reading the information. That's why I'm here, to help you not only design a brochure, because, well, anybody could do that, but design a brochure that will lead to higher engagement, more sales, and a steady stream of business. Shall we? First things first, and that's the layout of your brochure. The most common is the trifold. This is a horizontal document printed on both sides and folded twice into thirds. This provides 6 sections for you to display your information in an appealing and organized fashion. Again, this is probably what you're most familiar with, but behold, there are several other options that you may not have considered before. The Z-fold is one that's very similar to the trifold, but instead of opening inwards, the fold creates a Z shape when opened. Just make sure you know what will be on the front and back when you're designing your brochure. The gatefold is as it sounds. Imagine a gate opening towards you as you approach an estate. The two outer folds don't overlap, creating a gate effect as you open it. Going back to something more simple, the two-fold is as simple as it comes. One crease down the middle, creating 4 equal design areas, both front and back. You can also have the multi-page two-fold, which is the same thing, but with more pages. Or you can create a booklet type of brochure, which would be called the multi-page and bound. Wholesalers and realtors use these on a regular basis. Then there's die-cut brochures. This may have folds like we've discussed, but they're not your standard rectangular shape. Cut out a section to make it a specific shape, or even cut out middle portions, creating holes. What fits best with your brand? And the last layout type is the unique fold. If you have the time to think out of the box, this will work for you. You can be as creative as you like, which could lead to a more memorable brochure, but keep in mind that these will likely require a printing company, which will be more expensive than your standard trifold. Okay, now that we've discussed different folds for your brochure, it's time to get into the meat of this video. Tips on designing your brochure from conception to printing. First and foremost, define your purpose. Why is it that you want a brochure in the first place? To promote a new product? To showcase a service? Or maybe to inform the public of some killer deals that you have? Typically, brochures come with a set marketing campaign. If this is the case, make sure your fonts, your colors, and your themes all match up with the other platforms that you're marketing on. For example, your brochure should match your social media posts and your billboards. The biggest thing with brochures is to just keep it simple. Yes, you might have a lot of information, but don't cram it all into one brochure. If you need to share your website or your social media profile in the brochure, do so. Give people somewhere to go to learn more than the basics that you're providing in your brochure. And when it comes to imagery, if you don't have your own photos to use, Visme's platform has a huge selection of free images that you can choose from. Considering your clientele is on the same level of importance as defining your purpose. Your purpose might be great, but if your designs don't connect with the right audience, the other dominoes won't fall into place. So ask yourself this question: who is the brochure for? I'll give an example. A brochure for summer camps is directed not only at kids, but their parents as well. After all, they're the ones with the final say. Brochures for master's degrees are targeted at college graduates, not high school kids. Then you need to determine where you'll be putting these brochures. Think about your target clients and where they might be. A yoga studio business might leave brochures in sporting goods stores or even coffee shops. Ask someone you think fits your audience about their interests and where they might typically snag a brochure from. What types of brochures do they like, or what types of brochures do they throw away? Know everything you can about your clientele and act accordingly. Now, enough of the planning, it's time to start designing. Start with an outline that lays out each section or forwarded area of the brochure. Designing the cover page should be your first step. That page is crucial, as it'll be the only thing a stranger sees before they pick up your brochure to learn more. Include brand assets and a catchy title or subtitle to help draw people in. After the cover page comes pushing your message. Each page should serve a purpose to drive that prospect into becoming a client. Your brochure should take them on a journey, enticing them more and more as they scan the design. Tell them how you could provide value to them. How will your products or services solve their problem? Why is your offering better than your competitors? Don't be vague here. Be direct when displaying this information. Your proposition should be front and center on your brochure. Then, somewhere in the brochure, provide direction on how to contact you or where to find you. Is there a business address, a phone number, website, or social media profile that they can go to see to learn more? Make it easy for them. Don't hide this in the fine print. Now it's time to nail down a template. Let's start with the Z-fold as an example. Visme's template editor uses the industry standard letter size for brochures, and if you want to adjust to fit to Tri or Z-fold templates, you'll want to adjust the width to 366 pixels, the height to 850 pixels, and we recommend setting an opacity at 30%, but it's really whatever is best for you. You can mark the fold lines within the editor too, so you can know exactly where to design around. Visme can also help you with digital brochures. If you want to save on printing expenses, digital brochures allow you to be interactive. Animations far and wide span Visme's platform, and you could customize them all on your own. Animation has never been so easy, so try it out. You can save them as a PDF or publish directly to the web and share it with a link. As you're building your brochure, it's easy to kind of fall asleep at the wheel and go off the path that you set out on. Staying on course, and specifically on brand, is very important. It's simple, really. Just stick to using your brand's fonts, colors, and associated visuals, aka your logo. With Visme's premium plan, you can set up a brand kit which helps you stay on brand with every visual you create. It doesn't get any easier, and it saves you a ton of time. Okay, all of your information, brand assets, visuals, they're all in place. It's time to begin the review process. The first thing you want to consider is the visual hierarchy. Visme templates were built with visual hierarchy principles in mind, but if you started from scratch or even slightly adjusted a template to fit your needs, there's some questions that you should ask yourself. First, does your content have a visual and contextual hierarchy? In other words, do the important elements stand out and set the viewer on a predetermined path? Is your title text bigger than other text? Are any subtitles bigger than bodies of text? If they're not, they should be. Second, are the elements aligned and balanced? Avoid placing text blocks on the folds. Images are okay, but not faces. Then just make sure all other elements are aligned with one another in a clean and organized way. Third, do your elements have an easy to follow flow? Everything should be clear. Fonts should be easy to read, contrast should be sharp, sizing should make sense. Make your design easy on the eyes. And lastly, is there enough empty space to let your content breathe? You don't need to have content and visuals from border to border. White space is your friend. Use margins to ensure you don't break this rule. Sharing your draft versions with your peers is crucial. It could be coworkers, friends, family, maybe even potential clients. Print one version of your brochure, double check those fold lines, and then ask those people what they think. It shouldn't take much time, and as long as you're open to it, they'll provide constructive criticism that could really help. Once you're finished with the review process, it's time to start thinking about mass printing. And there's actually quite a bit to consider. One thing you'll want to do before printing is ensuring your designs bleed off the page margins just slightly. This will ensure there are no blank white spaces along the borders once they're all cut and printed. As far as the type of paper, glossy light paper is the most common, but you can go heavier if you'd like. It just might make the folding process a little bit harder. And as far as who folds it, typically the printer will, but always clarify with the company first. It may cost extra, but it's typically worth it. That is, unless you enjoy tedious work yourself. As far as other costs, the more brochures, the cheaper the cost per unit. It might not hurt to print more than you expect to use. A couple final checks would be a color test and of course spell checking. Don't print hundreds of units just to have an error. And a color test will help clarify your colors are exactly what you want as well. Don't be afraid to ask the printer ahead of time for a color test if they don't already offer it. And as far as where to get it printed, I personally recommend Vistaprint. After you download your design as a PDF, you can upload it into their system and they'll not only print the design, but fold the brochures for you. And at last, it's time to share that beautiful masterpiece of yours. Go to those destinations you determined earlier in the planning process and let pedestrians scoop them right up. If you're sharing digitally, download the brochure as a JPEG image and share via email, social media, on your website, or wherever you see fit. Animated Visme brochures will be shared as a link rather than a downloaded file, but they can still find a home at any of the places that I just mentioned. And before we go our separate ways, there's just a few more tips I wanted to share as you embark on this marketing journey. Once you have your brochures printed, it's time to place them in the perfect locations. Again, think of local businesses your customers would also interact with. Then think about what will hold your brochures. We don't recommend just leaving a pile of them on a counter somewhere. Find a stand that either matches your designs or simply use a transparent stand. It'll serve its purpose just fine without covering up any text. If you don't want to leave them somewhere, then go to local events, fairs, and conferences to hand them out yourself. What's the worst that could happen? You strike conversation with an interested party? Even better. You can also send them via mail or add them in gift packages and welcome packs. The goal is to get your brochures into the hands of people who care. So hopefully you've been maintaining your CRM. Ladies and gentlemen, it's go time. You have all these steps, tips, and tricks for creating an effective brochure, and when it comes to doing it on your own, Visme's website awaits. With hundreds of templates, it's never been easier. Try it out at visme.com right now. But first, if you don't mind, please drop us a like on this video. No harm, no foul for you, and it keeps us going. So do our subscribers, so you can hit that button too if you'd like. Until next time, we wish you the best of luck. With Visme, I'm Mike Ploger, helping you make information beautiful.